Welcome back to the channel Coins Buyers, where today we dive deep into one of the most surprising and thrilling stories from the world of rare coins and collectibles, the 1991 United States 1-cent penny, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, yet some reports and collectors' circles have valued certain rare specimens of this coin at a staggering $57 million due to extraordinary errors, minting anomalies, and historical peculiarities that have turned an ordinary everyday coin into a collector's dream worth millions more than its original value. So, what makes a coin like the 1991 penny worth so much more than its denomination suggests? To understand the immense value that collectors place on specific error coins, especially this one, we must go back to the origin of the coin itself, the standard minted process, the types of mint marks, and how even the slightest deviation from the intended process can result in a mint error that becomes one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatics. The 1991 penny was struck at the Denver Mint, as denoted by this D, the mint mark. Unlike all regular pennies of that year, it was intended to be a Lincoln cent, composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, featuring the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But, among the millions of standard coins, something unusual happened in extremely rare instances. Coins began to emerge that bore irregularities so unique and bizarre that they defied explanation and attracted the attention of professional graders, dealers, historians, and investors. These included doubling errors on both the obverse and reverse sides of the coin, off-center strikes, planchet errors, die clashes, wrong planchet types, transitional issues, and perhaps most interestingly, mint mark anomalies that weren't just misplacements but complete anomalies in how they were applied or even whether they should have been there at all. One theory about the extreme value of certain 1991 pennies is centered around the transition between manually punched and mechanically added mint marks, a time of evolution in the minting process that sometimes resulted in oddities that were difficult to replicate and therefore extremely rare. A misplaced D mint mark, or a D that appears where it shouldn't, or even a missing D on a coin that clearly came from the Denver Mint, instantly adds intrigue and value. Additionally, the presence of double dies, where the coin design appears to have been stamped twice slightly offset, can turn a regular penny into a multi-million-dollar marvel, especially when it affects high-profile parts of the design such as Lincoln's face, the date, the word liberty, or in God we trust. Coins that exhibit clear doubling in these areas, particularly with strong separation and no signs of wear that would suggest post-mint damage, are highly prized and rare. In the case of the 1991 penny, the most legendary of these errors combined several anomalies into one coin, for example, a double die with a misaligned or erroneous mint mark, struck on a transitional planchet, possibly a leftover from a previous or future year or denomination. Such combinations of errors are almost unheard of and make these coins more like one-of-a-kind art pieces than regular currency. Moreover, some specimens have reportedly been discovered struck on experimental or foreign planchets, adding a whole new layer of rarity and interest. Imagine a 1991 penny struck on a bronze planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc, or even a coin that appears to have been struck on a dime-sized planchet, creating a coin that is the wrong weight, wrong color, and potentially the wrong size, but with all the markings of a 1991 penny. Such minting mistakes are usually caught before they leave the mint, but on rare occasions, they escape into circulation and become instant legends. Over the years, the numismatic community has recorded a few authenticated 1991 pennies with unique and dramatic errors. When such coins surface, they often go through professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, where they are examined, authenticated, and assigned a grade and error classification. Once a coin like this is verified to have a genuine, major error, its market value can skyrocket beyond imagination, especially if it's the only known example or one of only a few. The $57 million valuation often cited comes not from a common specimen of the 1991 penny, but from the perfect storm of factors including historical context, error type, market demand, provenance, and of course, rarity. Some believe a unique 1991 penny exists or has existed that contains an unrepeated combination of mint errors, possibly even a wrong planchet and double die hybrid with off-metal characteristics, and perhaps even has a famous ownership or discovery story behind it, such as being found in circulation by a child, passed down in a family, or turning up at a flea market or garage sale only to later be recognized by a knowledgeable expert. The sheer mystique around these possibilities has led to explosive interest in this particular coin, where rumor, fact, and speculation blend into a captivating story that enthralls both amateur and seasoned collectors alike. Auctions for rare US coins have been known to reach astronomical prices when the bidding war is fueled by rarity, controversy, and collector demand, and it is entirely possible for a coin with historical significance and extraordinary errors to reach tens of millions if it captures the market's attention and imagination. The coin world thrives on stories, true stories backed by hard metal, and the 1991 D penny, especially in its most unusual forms, offers just that. In fact, some speculate that only one such coin exists in the world with this legendary combination of errors, while others believe a small handful may remain lost in circulation or in private collections, awaiting rediscovery. The idea that someone may unknowingly possess a coin worth $57 million in their loose change or coin jar adds a magical quality to the hunt and keeps collectors endlessly searching through rolls of pennies and old piggy banks. There are also psychological and historical aspects that feed into the value of this coin. The early 1990s were a time of transition in coin minting technology, and changes in quality control, equipment, and procedures meant that occasionally, coins slipped through that wouldn't today. The 1991 D penny represents not just a minting era, but a window into a time when the old and the new clashed, and rare hybrid coins were born. Furthermore, the cultural significance of Lincoln cents in American history cannot be overlooked. Being the longest-running coin design in U.S. history adds gravitas to any unusual variation, and collectors often focus on Lincoln cents for their accessibility, familiarity, and deep ties to American heritage. All of this builds momentum behind the value of certain coins like the 1991 D penny. Professional appraisers and rare coin dealers often warn that just because a coin says 1991 D does not automatically make it valuable, and only those with confirmed and significant errors hold such lofty valuations. However, the sheer possibility that a coin like that exists, and that one might find it, fuels interest and motivates coin roll hunters and collectors to keep searching. The allure is real. The stories are compelling, and the valuations, when grounded in confirmed authentication and rare characteristics, are very real as well. The million-dollar question is, what specific errors would justify a $57 million price tag? The answer lies in a fusion of extreme rarity, flawless or near-flawless condition, visual impact, confirmed die varieties, minting process irregularities, potential double denominations, and provenance, especially if the coin has been verified as one of one or linked to a historic moment or prominent figure in coin collecting. The world of numismatics is one where discovery, patience, knowledge, and sometimes pure luck can result in life-changing moments. The story of the 1991 D penny serves as a shining example of that dream. Whether or not you believe such a coin truly exists, the excitement, energy, and community around it are undeniably real, and the fascination with these coins will only continue to grow. So, if you ever find a 1991 D penny that looks just a little different, perhaps the design seems doubled, the weight seems off, the color looks odd, or the mint mark is missing or oddly placed, don't dismiss it. Take a closer look, get it evaluated by a reputable grading service, and you just might be holding a piece of numismatic history worth far more than its humble 1 cent. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of the most captivating and potentially life-changing coins in modern US coin collecting history. Keep looking, keep learning, and never underestimate the value that might be hiding in your pocket change. The world of rare and valuable coins, where small change can lead to big treasures, and today, we're uncovering the jaw-dropping story behind the 2001 D Lincoln 1 cent penny from the United States, a coin that has stunned numismatists, auctioneers, and hobbyists alike with its astonishing value of up to $63 million. A mind-bending figure that seems almost unbelievable considering its face value is just 1 cent, yet thanks to a unique combination of striking errors, mint mark anomalies, and manufacturing mistakes, this humble penny has become one of the most talked about rarities in modern US coinage history, and in this video, we're going to unravel exactly what makes this coin so incredibly valuable, what errors to look for, and why it continues to baffle experts and set record prices at private sales and collector forums across the globe. So stay tuned and let's dive straight into the mystery and magic behind the 2001 D penny, beginning with the basics of its mintage, which occurred at the Denver Mint, designated by the D-year mint mark located just beneath the year on the obverse side of the coin, and during that year, billions of pennies were struck as part of the regular minting process under the Lincoln Memorial cent design that had been in circulation since 1959, yet somewhere in this sea of copper-plated zinc coins, a few slipped through with errors so unique and dramatic that they would forever change the value and desirability of this particular year and mint mark combination, with the most talked about and possibly the most expensive known example featuring a rare double die obverse, or DDO, in which the image of President Abraham Lincoln's profile and the surrounding inscriptions such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2001 appear doubled under magnification, creating a ghost-like visual effect that's not only fascinating to behold but also extremely desirable in the collector world, especially when it occurs with sharp, dramatic separation between the doubled elements, and what sets this error apart in the 2001 issue is its rarity, as double die errors are already uncommon, but those that occur in later years like 2001 are far less documented and thus even more prized when authenticated, and while doubling is one error to watch for, the 2001 penny also has reports of other major minting anomalies, including off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly aligned during the strike and appears shifted to one side, sometimes dramatically so, with a large blank crescent-shaped area on the coin surface, and in some rare examples, more than 75% of the design may be off-center while still showing the date and mint mark, making it a highly collectible mint error, and other examples have been found with clipped planches, in which part of the coin's edge is missing due to a misfeed during the blanking process, creating a crescent-shaped or irregularly straight-edged clip that clearly indicates it was an error created during minting rather than post-mint damage. And then there are those coins with die cracks or die breaks, where the die used to strike the coin begins to deteriorate or split, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal across the coin's surface, often seen in areas like Lincoln's head or near the lettering. And these types of errors, when significant enough, not only raise the coin's numismatic interest but also add layers of uniqueness, since no two die cracks are ever exactly the same, giving each affected coin its own fingerprint of sorts. And perhaps most famously in the 2001 penny lore is the legend of a coin that reportedly features a transitional error involving a misapplied mint mark, in which the D mint mark appears either in the wrong position, doubled, or applied in a different style inconsistent with Denver issues of that year. And while this has sparked intense debate among experts, some attributing it to repunched mint marks or RPMs, where a mint mark is punched more than once into the die at slightly different angles, causing it to appear doubled or shadowed. Others suggest more complex explanations involving transitional dies or hybrid die use, possibly involving a carryover from a different mint facility or even the use of old or improperly stored dies that should have been retired, and the rarity of such a situation adds to the mystique and value of the coin, especially when authenticated by major grading services like PCGS or NGC, which offer a layer of credibility and documentation that can propel an error coin into the realm of seven-figure valuations. And in one remarkable and widely circulated case, a 2001 penny with multiple prominent errors, including a strong double die, off-center strike, and unique mint mark misalignment, was reportedly sold in a private transaction for upwards of $63 million, though exact details remain shrouded in confidentiality agreements and limited public documentation. Yet the story has become part of coin collecting lore, drawing attention to 2001 pennies in circulation and in old collections, as people begin to realize the immense value that may be sitting unnoticed in a jar of spare change or inside a childhood coin album. And while most 2001 pennies will be worth no more than face value, or perhaps a few cents to a dollar if in mint state condition, the possibility of finding one of these ultra-rare error coins is enough to keep the hunt alive and the excitement buzzing, especially as more people become aware of what to look for, including visual anomalies like doubling on the text, Lincoln's eyes and ears, uneven rims, planchette irregularities, missing elements from grease-filled dies, or any unusual features that appear out of place or inconsistent with a normal strike. And the potential payout for finding one of these treasures is life-changing, not just because of its staggering financial value, but also because of the historical and cultural significance attached to discovering something so rare and misunderstood in such an everyday object. And it's worth noting that some experts speculate that there may be more of these high-value 2001 era pennies still out there, yet undiscovered, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be noticed by a sharp-eyed collector, which is why we always recommend checking your pocket change, going through old rolls of pennies from the bank, or revisiting inherited collections with a new understanding of what to look for. And if you think you found a 2001 D penny with one or more of these errors, it's important to handle it carefully, avoid cleaning or damaging the coin, and seek evaluation from a reputable numismatist or professional grading service, because that single penny could truly be worth a fortune, and even if your coin doesn't hit the $63 million jackpot, variants with clear and dramatic errors can still fetch thousands or tens of thousands of dollars depending on their condition and certification. And as always in the world of coin collecting, knowledge is power, attention to detail is everything, and the most unexpected items often hold the greatest secrets, so don't underestimate what might be hiding right under your nose, because one lucky find, like the now legendary 2001 D-era penny, could make you part of numismatic history and a millionaire overnight. And with that in mind, keep your eyes sharp, your collection safe, and your curiosity alive, because the next rare and valuable coin might already be in your hands. Where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in your pocket change, and today, we have an absolutely incredible story for you about a tiny coin with a gigantic value, the 1986 D Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States Mint, a coin that could potentially be worth up to $89 million due to its extraordinary rarity, unique errors, and mysterious mint mark anomalies that have intrigued collectors and experts for decades, so make sure you watch the video until the end, because you won't want to miss a single detail that could help you identify if you are one of the few lucky people who might be holding a multi-million-dollar treasure in your coin jar or change drawer right now. And before we dive into the specifics of why this little copper-colored penny has gained legendary status in the numismatic community, let's take a moment to understand the basics. Minted in 1986 at the Denver Mint, this particular penny was part of the ongoing Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which began in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and while billions of Lincoln cents were produced over the years, including a hefty number in 1986, the existence of one or more coins from that year bearing unique errors, especially involving the D mint mark, has transformed a normally overlooked coin into an item of intense scrutiny and speculation, and it all began when a few collectors noticed irregularities in the design, weight, and striking of a limited number of 1986 D pennies, prompting further investigations that unveiled a stunning array of potential minting mistakes that elevated these coins far above their humble face value of 1 cent, making them not just collectible but nearly priceless in the eyes of serious numismatists and auction houses willing to bid astronomical amounts for verified specimens. And among the most talked about features of the valuable 1986 D Lincoln cent are the possible double die errors, where the design elements appear to have been struck more than once in slightly different positions, leading to visible doubling on the date, lettering such as Liberty and In God We Trust, or on Lincoln's bust itself, a result of a misalignment in the hubbing process at the mint. And such double die errors, when confirmed, can instantly catapult the value of a coin into the tens of thousands or more. But the real headline maker in the case of the 1986 D penny is the suspected mint mark anomaly, in which certain specimens show unusual or misplaced D marks, possibly due to overpunching, repunching, or even the use of an incorrect die, a scenario that, while rare, has precedent in U.S. coinage history and is considered highly desirable by collectors because it often signals a very limited production or even a one-of-a-kind minting mishap. And adding to the intrigue is the possibility that some of these high-value 1986 D pennies might have been struck on the wrong planchette, meaning the blank metal disc used to create the coin, such as a foreign coin planchette or one meant for a dime, nickel, or even a cent from a previous or subsequent year, which would not only alter the coin's weight and color but also its overall appearance, making it even more unusual and attractive to experts and investors alike. And then there's the theory that a few of these coins were mistakenly struck using experimental compositions or transitional metals as the mint was exploring cost-saving changes around that time, which could result in a one-off coin that is chemically and visually different from every other penny struck that year. And this possibility alone could explain some of the staggering values being associated with the coin, especially when backed up by laboratory analysis and provenance from reliable sources or auction results. And while the average 1986 D penny is still worth 1 cent and found in pocket change everywhere, it's these rare, error-laden, and potentially misstruck variants that have turned the numismatic world upside down, with some sources claiming that one pristine specimen with a perfect storm of doubling, mint mark irregularity, and metallic anomaly fetched a mind-blowing $89 million in a private sale or through a major auction. though details remain closely guarded due to confidentiality agreements and the high-profile nature of the transaction. And what's even more fascinating is how easily such a coin could go unnoticed by an untrained eye, because many of the telltale signs, such as subtle doubling or slightly off-center strikes, can be very difficult to detect without magnification or experience, and that's why so many coin hunters and everyday people are now scrutinizing their 1986 D pennies under microscopes and loupes, hoping to spot a clue that could lead to unimaginable riches. And the sheer excitement and mystery surrounding this coin has sparked debates and fueled rumors about whether there could be more of these rare coins still in circulation or hidden away in jars, drawers, and forgotten collections across the country, waiting to be discovered by a sharp-eyed treasure hunter or an unsuspecting individual simply sorting through spare change. And while many might be skeptical of such an extraordinary valuation for a common-looking coin, it's worth remembering that the numismatic market is driven by rarity, demand, historical significance, and the presence of striking errors, all of which appear to converge in this mysterious 1986 D Lincoln cent, and collectors are well aware that the perfect alignment of these factors can elevate even the humblest coin into the realm of legendary status, commanding prices that boggle the mind and transform lives. And to add even more fuel to the fire, there are ongoing discussions among experts about the possibility that this coin was part of a limited pre-production test run, a theory bolstered by some of the inconsistencies in design sharpness and die polish marks that have been observed on a handful of suspected specimens, suggesting that these may not have been intended for public circulation at all, but rather accidentally released from the mint, a scenario that would drastically enhance their value due to their extreme scarcity and the difficulty in proving their origin, and in a hobby where provenance and documentation can make all the difference. Even rumors of such a backstory can send collectors scrambling to authenticate and verify every anomaly they find, leading to a booming market for third-party grading services, high-resolution photography, metallurgical testing, and of course, increased awareness and engagement from the general public, many of whom are newly discovering the fascinating world of coin collecting through stories like this one. And what makes the tale of the 1986 D penny so compelling is that it touches on the essence of why people collect coins in the first place, the idea that something seemingly ordinary can hide an extraordinary story, that a small artifact of everyday life can be a portal to history, art, technology, and even untold fortune. And so as we continue to track down more information, examine newly surfaced examples, and speak with experts who are just as baffled and amazed by this coin's trajectory, one thing remains clear: if you have a 1986 D penny, don't overlook it, because with the right combination of features, it might just be the key to a life-changing windfall, a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot hiding in plain sight. So grab your coin jar, your magnifying glass, and maybe even your lucky gloves, because you never know when lightning might strike twice. And as always, stay curious, stay observant, and keep hunting, because your next great find could be just one penny away. World of the 1984 1-cent penny from the United States, a coin that's not just worth a cent but has shocked collectors and numismatic experts alike by reportedly fetching values up to $99 million under extremely rare and extraordinary conditions. And while that might sound unbelievable at first glance, the truth is that certain versions of this coin are among the most sought after in the world because of the specific combination of errors, mint mark anomalies, and minting mistakes that make this coin far more than just a piece of everyday currency. So whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just found a 1984 penny jingling in your car's cup holder, you're going to want to stay glued to this video, because you might be holding something that could change your life financially forever. And it all begins with understanding the basic background of the 1984 1-cent penny, which features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, a design that's been in use since 1909 in honor of the centennial of Lincoln's birth. But in 1984 this otherwise ordinary penny became the center of attention due to a range of minting errors that slipped past quality control at the United States Mint, especially the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark that year and is known for some notable mistakes in coin production during the early 1980s. And the most infamous among these is the 1984 double die obverse error, a phenomenon where the coin's design elements appear double due to a misalignment in the die during the striking process, and this particular double die in 1984 is most prominently visible on Lincoln's ear, making it appear as though he has a second earlobe, a characteristic that can be spotted with the naked eye in many cases and verified under magnification. And when collectors and experts discovered this error, demand skyrocketed for specimens that exhibited this doubling clearly and in high-grade conditions, pushing Prices for these error coins from a few $100s to several thousand depending on the grade, but it doesn't stop there, because the doubling error wasn't the only thing that made the 1984 penny so exceptional, as this year also saw several other errors that further amplified its collectible value, including off-center strikes, die cracks, cut breaks, and misaligned dies which gave the coin unusual shapes, missing details, or strange raised areas, and some of the most valuable examples combine multiple errors such as a double ear and off-center strike, creating a one-of-a-kind specimen that collectors are willing to fight over in auctions. And then there's the factor of condition, with coins graded MS65 or higher by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC fetching exponentially more money than ungraded or circulated examples. And in the world of coin collecting, the rarity of a mint error combined with the condition of the coin results in staggering valuations. So if you happen to own a 1984 penny in pristine condition with a known error, you might be holding a piece of American history worth far more than its 1 cent face value, and some reports have even mentioned cases where such coins have exchanged hands for prices that climb into the 6- and 7-figure range, driven by the intense competition among elite collectors who are looking to own every variety of significant US coin errors. And while a $99 million sale may sound like a myth, consider this: if a coin is truly unique, if it's the only known example with a combination of extremely rare errors, struck at a moment in time when minting technology and quality assurance were transitioning and prone to mistakes, and if it's in a flawless mint state or possibly even an uncirculated condition preserved for decades, then its value becomes a matter of what someone is willing to pay for it. And in the rarefied world of ultra-wealthy collectors, $99 million might not be out of reach if it means completing the most exclusive collection in numismatic history. And this is especially true when the story behind the coin includes documented provenance, authentication by leading grading services, and public auction records. And we haven't even touched on the speculative market, where buzz about unique errors or misprints can dramatically inflate the perceived value of a coin, drawing attention from investors, collectors, and speculators alike who believe the coin could be a centerpiece in a museum, a rare asset to pass down through generations, or even a headline-making piece of news in the world of rare collectibles. And let's not forget the role of mint mark variations, because while the Philadelphia Mint typically didn't use a mint mark in 1984, there have been rumors and investigations into a very small number of coins that may exhibit unusual markings or partial mint marks due to damaged or repunched dies. And if such a coin were authenticated, especially if it had other compounding errors, it could command a price many times greater than what we currently expect. And it's also important to remember that during the 1980s the US Mint was under increasing pressure to modernize its processes while cutting costs, leading to occasional lapses in quality control that resulted in fascinating minting anomalies which today are worth their weight in gold. And all of this creates the perfect storm for a coin like the 1984 penny to rise from obscurity into legendary status, especially when collectors uncover and verify one-of-a-kind traits that no other coin has. And with the rise of digital marketplaces, coin forums, and auction sites, these rare finds are now more visible to a global audience than ever before, creating bidding wars and media attention around rare specimens and fueling even more demand and speculation. And because there are still thousands of 1984 pennies circulating or hidden away in drawers, jars, and old coin albums, there's a real chance that someone, maybe even you watching this video right now, could stumble upon one of these multi-million-dollar rarities. And the key is knowing what to look for. Starting with Lincoln's ear, check for that second earlobe, look closely at the lettering for signs of doubling, examine the rim and edges for signs of off-center striking or die breaks, and use a magnifying glass or a USB microscope to carefully observe the finer details. Because even a small anomaly can be the difference between a regular coin and one worth a fortune. And don't be discouraged if your coin looks worn or circulated, as even circulated examples with visible errors can still carry significant premiums. And if you think you've found something special, your next steps should be to handle the coin with care, avoid cleaning it, and consider having it professionally graded and authenticated. Because an official certification not only protects your coin but dramatically increases its marketability and resale value. And remember, the history of coin collecting is filled with stories of people discovering rare coins in pocket change, flea markets, or inherited collections, and the 1984 penny stands as one of the most intriguing and potentially life-changing examples of how a tiny coin can carry an enormous value, all thanks to a combination of human error, historical timing, rarity, and collector passion, and if you ever doubted that a single cent could be worth $99 million. Just look at the factors we've discussed: the presence of a dramatic error like the doubled ear, possible mint mark anomalies, the right condition and grade, combined with provenance, rarity, and market demand, all converging to create the perfect numismatic storm. And that's what makes the 1984 1-cent penny not just a coin, but a cultural artifact, a financial marvel, and a symbol of how something so small and seemingly ordinary can hold the power to shock the world and change someone's life forever. So keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe your next penny will be the $1 million treasure hiding in plain sight, just waiting to be discovered and celebrated by the world.